Morning, everyone. I'm so excited today because Robin and I have 10 new tips for new teachers. We have both been there and we decided to do this in order to help everyone. So I'm Marissa. I was a teacher for 22 years. Now I've moved into doing workshops for teachers, mindset coaching with teachers, and motivational speaking. And Robin is one of my good friends. I've also coached Robin. We've worked together. She is amazing. Robin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone. Okay, I'm Robin. I've actually been living in Hong Kong for 11 years and teaching in Hong Kong. Currently, I'm going into a role where I'll be a specialist teacher, teaching project-based learning to middle school students and inquiry coordinator. So I am quite niche in terms of like, inquiry-based learning is like my jam, it's my thing. It's what I love to speak about at workshops and help teachers, grow in. But I've also got 15 years experience in the classroom, so I'm excited about this topic today.
Amazing. Me too. I can't wait. Okay, so Robin and I have narrowed it down to 10 things that we feel we could have definitely used to talk on when we were new teachers as you're navigating like the craziness that they don't prepare you for in teachers college. So we are going to start off with when you get to a school, the first thing is understanding that every school is different. And my thing is with learning from veteran teachers or learning from other teachers is if you happen to be at a school where you're struggling to find your person, go and look on online communities for teachers that are there to support. So go onto Facebook groups, go onto Instagram. Don't get trapped into the negativity around teaching on social media, but try to train your algorithm to find those teachers that want to help, that want to like help you as a new teacher and have tips and tricks and strategies. And yeah, because there is a massive community out there. That is definitely what I would say. Robin, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I love this as number one, building a community because community is everything. So just to jump on that, maybe you build a community online. I mean, LinkedIn, Instagram, amazing options, but also to find a buddy in your school. Whether it's just like a buddy or a teacher friend in your school that you connect with, someone that you can go and ask questions, maybe someone who's been at the school a little bit longer than you, who can kind of mentor you throughout the year, really, really key. So like find your buddy at school and someone you don't need to feel afraid to ask all those questions that you feel like, oh, I should probably know this, which meanwhile no one knows the answer to and
Yes.
everyone's around. So yeah, number one, community online and in person for sure.
Yeah.
And then, well, this takes us to number two. Number two, which I love, is chunking, which is so cool. I love the word. It makes me so excited. I love it. It's like, when that overwhelm comes and you have so many tasks to do, which is often in the beginning of the year, then breaking a task down, just at least getting started. Like I would use an example of, when teachers have to organize field trips, it's always such a huge mission. You need to know, risks and safety procedures and the dress for the bus and all the things. But then sometimes with that, what I'll just do is literally just make a copy of the field trip submission form and just start with that. So I like, chunk that task up into smaller bits just to make it easy. Even if it's literally just making a copy of the form or creating a document and naming that document. Yeah, what do you think?
I definitely am with you with chunking. I think, overwhelm is something that as teachers you can definitely experience if you feel that everything is kind of coming at you and putting everything on a list that you have to do. And also like the ABC method I used, which is A is like has to be done ASAP, whereas B has a little bit more time. C, okay, that's only due in a month. And then any big project, because we procrastinate on big projects because we think we have to do it all at once. But if you break down any big project, right, it's like, how do you, it's the whole adage of like, how do you eat an enormous ice cream sundae? Like one bite at a time. Everything is done one bite at a time. So, whatever a big project is, you can do it and definitely asking questions, asking for procedures. Don't think you have to reinvent the wheel. Like going to your principal or your next, the person that your buddy that you found, what is the procedure here? How can I find out what the procedure is or something like that? Don't just assume that you have to find it yourself because that takes time. I always tried to do things myself and I botched some big things that way. So, definitely if you're not sure, just go ask. Like, don't just assume. And yeah, chunk it out. Absolutely. I love that. That sort of leaves us into number three in regards to time management is I have known teachers who they forget about dates, they forget about deadlines. So you have to find a way that works for you in terms of deadlines. I always had like a list right on my desk. I had a desk calendar as well, like a big desk calendar. And I would note down things on the side or I'd note down things that were with deadlines. So I always knew a big diary, it never worked for me. But I had colleagues that loved it. So finding your method of time management so that you can um, keep on top of the deadlines and what's due when. How did you do? What was your strategy for that?
I also agree with this. I have like two methods that I used to have one of those big diaries, so I used to be one of those teachers, but then it's quite hard to source like the right one in Hong Kong, to be honest, one that I like. So now what I do is I have a diary and then I'll write my list down of things I need to do, and then I will find like my colorful highlighters and I will highlight the things that are like, high priority, things that are like, require my assistance immediately. So it's like similar to your ABC list in a slightly different way because I love colors.
Yeah.
And then also always, the school's going to provide you with a calendar. I would sit down, it takes, 5 to 10 minutes and just jot those dates down in your Gmail calendar, your Outlook, whatever you're using, so that you already have the dates in. So if you have to plan something with your students, or if you've got a personal commitment, you can like your calendar set up. So I would say, take time to set up your calendar. And then something that is useful for you and your students is in your classroom, set up a space that's like a bulletin board. And there you can have, the date, the schedule for the day, and any upcoming events, like even like, oh, auditions,
Love
end
it.
on this date, or free dress days on this date, whatever it may be. And you can even have like a floating board. I found like an old painting that like I wanted, and just like, put a cardboard and use just, was it press stick, and then just
Yeah,
like stuck the bulletin board up there, or even get your students to create it. So that's one is good for you and your students. So if anything, do a classroom bulletin board.
love
It's
it.
yeah.
So good.
Um, yeah, so I guess this takes us to number four,
Sure.
which speaks on boundaries,
Big
which
one,
is
big topic.
big topic. So something that I do is I've put notifications on like a timer basically. So I don't receive any emails and notifications from my work after work hours. And that's been a game changer. I think you can feel sometimes a bit guilty about that, but I'm telling you, it is so worth your while, because if you are not taking time out after work to take care of you,
Oh,
then you're not going to be your best self for your students. So put boundaries, and on your notifications. Don't work after hours if you don't need to. Of course, sometimes you will need to, but you know, put yourself first. Put those boundaries up. What do you think?
no, 100%. I think also going back to like how teachers can feel guilty, right? Like we set boundaries. Boundaries are for you. If someone is upset because you have put in a boundary, that is an exact reason the boundary is needed because you are not doing this for anybody else except for you. It's your life. And the whole thing is about teaching is we often forget that we wear other hats. We are not just a teacher. When you leave the classroom, like my goal every year was how can I get things done in the day so that I can take as little as possible home. And I mean, I was an English teacher, so the marking, with essays and things, it got easier as I got older. I put strategies in place, but in the beginning, it was, much more difficult. And with my thing with boundaries too is practice saying no. Like get a friend and practice different strategies to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I actually can't manage that at the moment because my schedule is so full. But if you want to give me something to take off my plate so that I can help you with that, no problem. But right now, it's just not going to work. So really get a list of things you could say if someone asks you, because often we so panicky. We're just like, they're not going to like me. They're going to get upset. And if they don't like you and they're upset, that's a them problem. It's not a you problem, right? That's why you're setting the boundaries because you can't manage it. You can't put any more in. And learning how to say what you need to say. I think that is something I wish I had done. And don't volunteer for things that you can't fit in. And really try to, if you're going to volunteer for things at school, try to look for the things that you actually like doing
I
because
agree.
that way you can actually have some enjoyment because often at schools everyone has to kind of pitch in like that is a given, but you don't have to put yourself forward if no one else is. It doesn't mean you have to put yourself forward. It just means you have to look at what's best for you. And I was going to say, yeah, that was the thing. It's okay, like with setting boundaries. Boundaries is all about self-care. It is about protecting your energy, protecting your time. And the last thing I want to say about boundaries is also being done is better than being perfect. If you're a perfectionist, you gotta get that out. Like because there's no time for perfectionists in teaching. Your classroom doesn't have to look amazingly perfect. Like get the kids to put things up. Don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. Kids like routine. Don't feel like you have to change it up every day. Keep it as simple as you can and just build connections with your kids. It's never going to go the way you planned. So for like it's okay. It's okay. That's the main thing.
Love that. Build connections with your students. If you take
Yeah,
anything away today, that is what you should take away. Take time to see
exactly.
connections with your students. It goes a very long way.
Yeah, 100%. And like you may not make connections with all of your students, it may not, but you will make connections with a lot of them, and that's where you want to focus. You as teachers, we think we're going to get through to everybody, you won't. So
Yeah.
focus on who you do get through to and work with that. So, yeah, so number five is one of our favorites. We love, love, love AI. We love it. And if you are a teacher and you are not using AI and you're like, oh my God, it's going to make everybody like lazy and stupid. No, AI can either make you lazy, yes, but it can also make you so much more productive and so much like, this is how I look at AI. This is how I say it. If you had an issue and you needed help with something and there were like 10 experts on that subject right next to you, you would ask them, right?
Mm.
But now you've got 100,000 experts and you're not going to ask. Like, no. Learn how to make it work for you. Learn, and it's not just about lesson plans, right? Like, Robynne, I can't wait for you to talk about AI because you're doing so much with it. But just, it can be used for anything. Make it your personal assistant. What do you think?
100 bazillion%. You got to get on the AI train. You got to get on it. You got to educate yourself on it because it's going to help you so much. It helped me so much this year in terms of time. You don't want it to replace your creativity. You just want it to help you do the mundane things that take time from your life that it can do in 2 seconds. You know what I mean? So even I mean, I use navigating like really challenging emails, even if it just means like taking bits from that email that the AI suggested and then recreating my own from there. So I loved using it for that. But then even in terms of like platforms like Magic School, Love, Flint, amazing. Um, those two in particular. I know I use Flint for a lot of like creating like reflections. Instead of
Mm.
me typing up a reflection of like maybe it's a multiple choice reflection, that's gonna take me so much time. So okay, thanks AI, you can just quickly whip that out for, put the template, create a template for me
Yeah.
so that it's simple. So I don't know, I really, really, I'm also like, I'm a big AI fan. I use it. I also empower the students to use it. So from a big fan, I would say get on the AI. What do you think,
Yeah, and
right?
I also want to say with AI, right? Like often teachers like, oh, but you have to pay for it. You don't, there are so many different kinds of AI. So if you've used up your chat GPT amount that day, go to Perplexity, go to Grok, go to whichever ones you can use in your country, go to Gemini. There are just so many that you can have going working for you as your assistant. And the more you learn how to prompt it, the better. Like start following teachers that are using AI, start to see how you can help your kids also prompt if they've got, laptops or iPads in class with them. So yeah, no, definitely I would say that. Do you want
Yeah.
to go into number 6? Because this is one of our favorites. I think you should.
Yes.
That's a good
But
one.
before I do, just a quick
Yes,
one about
go
AI,
for it.
especially for new teachers. If you're thinking of using it with your students, just make sure your school has a policy in place in terms of the use of AI, and
Yeah.
then just make sure you're using, even personally for yourself, AI programs, that have got, the right security in place and things like that. I always want to say that because AI is such a growing thing,
Yes, it's
and
constantly evolving. And yeah, you
I,
definitely, and share good practice. If you have an
yes,
idea and you've got your colleague, this is what I use, this is what I did, it worked out so well. And
yeah,
if something doesn't work out, then okay, learn from that too, right? That's the key is always what worked, what didn't work,
yeah.
making, yeah, for sure. All right, go for it. Number 6.
Okay, number 6, which has been fire for me all year, is if it's gonna take less than 2 minutes, just do it immediately or do it as soon as you possibly can. Just
Yes.
do it, even if it's painful. 2 minutes, get it done, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that was so quick. Okay, I've been putting off something that was so quick. So less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Love this one.
Yes. And I want to link that, to one of my favorite books, by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog, which is like 21 ways to avoid procrastination. And that 2-minute rule of just do it, it's because sometimes we often are procrastinating on maybe it's a little uncomfortable, whatever you have to do. But once you do it, it's like like this load is just off your chest, and if you keep putting it off, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do it, I have to do it. So if it is less than 2 minutes, just take that time that you were possibly going to mindlessly scroll and get things done, right? Really look at the time that if you are using any of your time at school to scroll mindlessly, like if it's not productive time, remember that that is time you are taking away from you going home and not having to do things. Because when you're scrolling at school, that means there's a good chance you might have to take something home. So don't do it. Like use your time as productively as possible, for sure. Anything else you want to say on that?
Also, don't get pulled into like toxic conversations or like
Yes.
gossip.
Oh my
I think it's
gosh.
super easy to kind of like, because teachers love the tea. We love the tea. We
Love
want the
it.
goss. We love the chat. So I think, of course, those are positive. If you like speaking positively and building community and relationships, stunning. But if you find yourself in a conversation that is just wasteful, stop ranting and go do your 2-minute task.
Yes, I have to just say on that too that gossip is a time thief for a teacher. Do
It is.
not get trapped into it. I know it's hard sometimes, but like if you know that the staff room is gossip central, go and just with your bestie in your classroom and eat there and talk productivity. Or if you have to like rant to someone, I always say I had one person and I would rant to that person and get it off my chest, or we would laugh about something like that I would not tell anybody else at school because I don't want it to get around to anybody else. I had that one person. It might not even be your one person, might be your husband or something. It's right, but don't get trapped. That was an early mistake I made for several years. And in my last years of teaching, I refused and I was so much more productive and I took so much less home. So I'm so glad you brought that up because if that is one thing you can just nip in the bud straight away, it's just a game changer for sure. Thank
100.
Okay, I want to talk about classroom management, number seven, because the trial and error that happens with classroom management, it's like every year you're trying something new. So obviously you're gonna have to find what works for you. But one thing, and I think this is especially true with Generation Alpha, is because we have to remember that screens have completely shifted brain chemistry. That's just facts, that's science. So you're dealing with kids today. So when you get teachers that are like, wow, the kids from like the year 2003 were like so different than today. Yes, like their brains have changed completely, right? I always say we're teaching, our school system is designed, not so much your school system in Hong Kong, you've got a little more freedom there, but our school system is designed to teach the kids of the past, not the kids of the future. But how do you revamp a system? So one thing I loved is calming music. I always, and I wish I learned this only later in later years, but I would have like the calming music on just when they walk in the classroom, if they're working. It didn't matter if it's Friday. Sometimes we would have a nice classroom, like fun, funky pop playlist because it was like art or design and technology or something. That was fun. They love that with the music. But the calming music is something to consider. I didn't with in terms of like having bean counters and competition with kids. I found that didn't always work, especially if you've got a disruptive student. They always bring down the group and then can cause issues. So finding a classroom management strategy that works for you, looking at different ways, asking your colleagues what works for them, and not making it complicated, not making it take a lot of time away from you because that's time like you could be doing other things. So that is definitely for me with classroom management for sure. What's your strategies with classroom management, Robin?
Well, just to talk to the music, I use that strategy this year and it is so good. Using the deep focus music, even just for yourself in the morning before the students come, it's it's does something to your brain.
Yeah.
You're it's like amazing. And then when your students arrive and they're everyone's like listening to the music and everyone's just calm and on task. Obviously, that's not all the time, but I must say I used the music consistently this past year and it was brilliant. So I highly recommend. And then the other thing is an attention grabber. This for me has been a like no fail classroom management technique for years. Is making sure you go into the year with an attention grabber. So something that you will use throughout the year to quiet the class, to bring their attention to you. You can even spend some time in the beginning of the year to make one up with your students, which is
Mm.
really, really cool. Like something that relates to them. Especially like now with Gen Alpha. I mean, for me, I'm like an elder millennial, so I'm also like, we're not on the same page. Like what I think's cool, funny, I don't think they don't. So you can actually make it up with them. Like even, there was this cute one we did this year, which was like cookie dough. I said cookie dough, and the student said ready, set, go. And that was for my grade fours. But for my grade sixes, who are a little bit older, I was like, okay, let me do something a little bit less, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they would have done it, but I think cookie dough is a little bit more
Yeah,
appropriate for grade.
totally. Yeah.
So grade six, I said dim and they said sum. So it's like dim sum, which is like in Hong Kong, everyone loves dim sum. So something like, and they liked it. It was cute and it was like a no fail. So, or even if it's a bell, love a bell, and there's like ding, 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 just
Yes.
like they hear the sound. If you don't want to project your voice, just a bell or a shaker that you're like, when you hear this, I need your attention.
Yes.
So,
I like that idea of getting the kids, especially if they're older, to come up with ideas. Like I can just imagine, the Gen Alpha slang coming out there. And and plus it helps you to now learn what the slang means.
there's your connection building. There's your connection
Brings
building.
that connection in again for sure. And yeah, so definitely having an attention grabber, a way to, get their attention. And yeah, I absolutely love that. All right, what do you okay, you go, number eight.
Number eight. Okay, number eight. Don't compare. to other teachers. Don't compare yourself to other teachers. Do not look at a teacher who's got 15 years experience and think, "Oh, I'm not doing enough. They're doing this." Don't compare. Every teacher has a magic power.
Yep.
If you're a new teacher, your magic power is there. It's only growing. It's growing. How beautiful is that? So you're going to grow into it. So don't compare. Number one, point blank. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you all for absolutely. As teachers, we tend to look at how a teacher can manage their class or can do this or can do this. And you're like, my gosh, that's so much, they're so much better than me. That is how humans are designed. Some of us are better at other things, right? So we're always learning. And the only person you're in competition with is yourself. There's no one else. So did you learn something today? Are you growing as a person? Are you trying, then win, like tick it off. You did a great job. So be proud of yourself. How you speak to yourself is so, so important. That's going to lead us into number 9 and 10 for sure with mindset. And I think just really looking at that you're a great person and you did your best and not to, and compliment other teachers. If you think they're doing great, be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, that's so good. Like, how did you learn that? You know,
Mm.
learn from them instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure.
That's a good one. And also, don't be afraid to ask. I'm that cheeky teacher who's like, "Oh, I love how you've done your birthday chart. Do you
Yeah.
share that with me?" And all they can do is say no, but you can
Yeah.
ask, and then you can be that person that reciprocates, that sort of like share resources.
Yes.
Hi, the
Don't gatekeep. Yeah.
No, don't do it because you're gonna want something that someone else has, and you're gonna want to
Yeah.
share. Sharing is caring.
100%. I love that. Um, so yeah, so this leads us into number 9, which 9 and 10 are all about mindset because mindset is just so important for you as a human being, not even just a teacher. Remember, you wear lots of hats. You're not just a teacher. So this is something that it's funny when Robin and I first met and I was like, oh, so what are your goals? She's like, I don't really set goals. And I know that with a lot of teachers, they don't set these goals. They feel maybe they're not going to achieve them or something like that. But the fact is, like, you are allowed to have goals for your life. And whether or not you achieve them right away or not, it's nice to just sort of be working towards something. And so I would definitely suggest, putting in a few goals for yourself of what you want to accomplish, whether it's in that year or in 5 years, or maybe you have a bigger vision for yourself that you want to go forward into the education space, perhaps. And that also leads with my whole thing with setting intentions for your day. What do you intend to like? How do you intend to work that day? And you can always look at ChatGPT or your AI model for intentions and affirmations. Um, Affirmations like I am an amazing teacher. I am learning all the time, those sorts of affirmations, because we don't always use them. And they are really a game changer for your own mindset. So, Robin, I love like you actually implemented them in class. I would love for you to tell us about that.
Yeah, I love this number 9. This is a really, really important one. So, just to go back to goals, like Marissa said, like I never set goals before. I didn't really know how, which is quite ironic and funny. Being a teacher, you think like you can set your own personal goals, whether it's career or, relationship or whatever. But it's not that easy to do when it comes down to you, Like your students, you can do everything, you know how to do everything with them and empower them, but for yourself, it's harder.
Yeah.
But definitely set goals. It doesn't have to be something huge. It could be something as simple as like I want to, feel confident to speak in front of the class because not all teachers, maybe feel so confident in front of their students. Maybe they're better in smaller groups or whatever it may be. So you don't need to set these giant goals. But if you do land up setting a giant goal, like something like where you're like, I want to write a educational book around the theme of friendship or something, then write that goal down. It can change, but you wrote it down, so it's okay. It's also okay for your goals to change.
Yes.
Um, like you know again, don't compare, just set a goal, start. And then in terms of affirmations, love this one as well. I actually landed up having like affirmation deck of cards I took to school, and then the students were like, one student, because the student was in charge of the calendar or the bulletin, would pick a card and like stick it up on the board and write it. They'd actually rewrite it in English again, and then they would write it in Chinese because we're a dual language school.
Right.
So it was stunning. And then eventually I noticed there was one student who actually created her own affirmation, like wrote her own affirmation on the board one day. And I thought, oh, like this is so beautiful. I really think it's valuable. It also just speaks to the heart, you know. Affirmations, take the time out of your day, even if it's starting your day with one affirmation being like, I'm going to be kind to myself today. And the students need to hear it. You need to hear it. It's so powerful. And then I also want to say something that I did this year that was a tip that you gave me, Marissa, which was super helpful, is like email yourself an affirmation. So if you also, or if you're having a hard time at work or you're about to do something big and scary that you haven't done before, send yourself a affirmation through email. I actually do it in all caps, you
Nice.
know? Yeah, you know, because I run workshops and you know that's so scary sometimes. So I'll send myself an email, be like, "You're a star. The workshop was so meaningful." And then like it's there, it's flagged on the top of my email. I'm like, so when I'm telling you, teachers, send yourself emails with positive affirmations or WhatsApps.
That
So
is brilliant.
stunning.
I love that.
Yeah.
And going on that, like that just reminded me of one other thing as well. When you get positive emails from parents or you get notes, like have a file on your email system that is like, good day emails or something, whatever you want to call them, because some days you need to reread those emails because you will sometimes feel like this was not a great day, but you have to remind yourself that there are so many people out there whose lives you are changing and parents who are grateful for you. And having those as a reminder is very important. So if the kids also like, you're a great teacher, like have a box or put them up. I always put them up, but then at the end of the year, I would keep them in a box. So you just see like that the kids really did respond to you and, loved you. And definitely that belief in yourself and having and sending an email. So if you do have a big thing coming up, like that is brilliant. Like you are amazing. You did so good today. Everyone loved your presentation, or assembly went so well, and just really affirming that it's going to be great. Because when you're like, well, what if it doesn't go well, what if it does,
Mm.
right? What if it does, right? You
Exactly.
could look at what if it doesn't, but you could also look at what if it does.
It could even be like you're learning, queen
Yes,
or
you
king or whatever, you know, like keep growing. Could be something
exactly.
so open-ended. If you know you're gonna do a hard thing or what, you know what I mean? Just set yourself up for success. Those affirmations
100%.
go a long way.
Yeah, I
Long,
love
long
that.
way.
Yeah, we're big proponents of that. We've seen it work wonders in our own lives. So, yeah, so glad we put that on our list. And our last one links right into that, number 10. Celebrate your wins. It is so easy. And I fell into this trap, I think, honestly, like for the first 10 years of teaching, for sure, because my mindset shift happened after about 10 years into teaching. Um, and my last 12 years were like so much different because of that. But it is so easy to go to finish your day and focus on every little thing that went wrong because guess what? Things are going to go wrong. But just like things went wrong, things went right too. So you have to look at, did someone make you laugh that day? Did Joey finally put a full stop at the end of a sentence? Did like, those little things, did that one kid who always never speaks in class, did he actually say something today? Those little wins, that is what
Mm,
you have to focus on, and then affirming like today was actually a great day, and
yes.
really going and believing in that. What do you feel about that, Roman?
I think that's absolutely perfection. I think also look out for the wins because
Yes.
you know, teaching is so hard. It's so hard. Some days you just feel so, like I feel some days I'm depleted and I'm like, I'm a ball of enthusiasm. So it's hard. So I think having that mindset to look out for the glimmers and the wins. So when they pop up, you're like, oh, okay, that's a win. Like a student maybe makes a comment like, that was fun. And you're like, oh, so hold on to that. Be on the lookout for wins. Don't be looking out for like what's going wrong. try and make that mental shift. It doesn't happen overnight, but I think it happens just by noticing the glimmers or the wins where you're like, oh, that's a good thing. Oh, I feel good. And then be like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold on to that. It's almost like that log that you were talking about. Like if you get an amazing email, document it, or even like share it with your bestie and let them have like a joyful moment together. Like same for the wins, like log the wins. It's especially at the end of the day, and if you're feeling depleted, you've had a hard day, which is bound to happen. Like you're feeling down, just go back. Okay, what worked today? It can be something so small, like you're saying, something so tiny, like a student that never smiles at you smiles at you,
Yes.
or today you finished all your tasks or whatever it may be. But just, yeah, mindset, be kind, celebrate the wins,
Yeah.
celebrate.
100%. And I think also get into the habit of training your, like, if you have people at home when you go home, training, getting them to also be like, tell me about the best part of your day. Don't tell me about the worst part because it's so easy to come home and then everyone's complaining about their day. But there were good parts in everybody's day. You just have to look for them. Like, what are we grateful for today, right? Focusing on that gratitude and your kids as well. What was the best part of your day? Like, who made you laugh today? Instead of just saying, how was your day, right? Again, ChatGPT, 20 ways to ask my child, 20 positive things I can ask my child that will actually get them to talk about their day. So I definitely think getting into that habit and trying to limit how much you're talking about school unless you're trying to solve a problem. So if you're just kind of upset about something that happened and you're just going to moan about it or get it, like be upset. If there is a solution, fine. Ask your partner, ask someone, how can help me solve this problem? What could I do? Like, what's in my control here? But if there's nothing in your control, just like leave it at the door. Don't focus on it because it's just going to get you riled up. Rather focus on what are the plans this weekend? What are we going to do? Like, how are we going to spend time with the family? Or I'm going to go out with friends or what am I going to, that sort of thing.
I love that one strategy you told me where you were like, I would say like imagine your problem or whatever you're battling with, in the palm of your hand, and then just send it love and blow it
By
away.
the
Or if you're dealing with
way.
a difficult person, you just imagine them on the in the palm of your hand and just send them love and blow them away. So if there's like, someone who's giving you trouble at work or even, something like that. I love that strategy. I was just like, it's good visualization. And then I also love, which I did with my students was sweet and sour. So like at the end of the day, just take 5 minutes, be like, what was the sweet of your day? What went well? And what was the sour? Or you do sunshine, thunderstorm, and rainbows. So it's like sunshine, what worked. Rainbows, like what are you looking forward to? And thunderstorm is like, what maybe is not going so well if you're feeling a bit off. So I love doing that. And it was, not all students are gonna want to share. And it might be in the beginning only the same students sharing, but eventually as the weeks go by, more students will share. I highly recommend that. And then by hearing their wins as well, it picks you up. It's
Yes.
a very fun experience, right? I highly recommend that.
That's a great connection way. And I always as well with my grade sixes, I was like, trying to get them to really think about why are they proud of themselves? Because for some of them, they cannot figure it out. They're like, I don't know why I'm proud of myself. So we worked on language that helps, like, I'm proud of myself for this. And also I'm grateful for this because it is incredible how many students couldn't go beyond I'm grateful for my mom and dad or I'm grateful for my dog. So we practiced also gratitude vocabulary, really looking at, what are we grateful for? But I love your even identifying the thunderstorms because again, that is about connection. That kind of gives you a little insight into what's going on with that student. And I think that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, to finish off, like my final thoughts are just we want this to reach as many teachers as possible. So whether you're a veteran teacher or a new teacher or whatever, like please like drop questions I mean, Robin and I are totally keen to do part two. Like if drop questions in the comments, right? Give your advice. What advice would you give to new teachers? What did you go through as a new teacher or anything? We would love to hear from as many teachers as possible. Yeah, and just like thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to Robin. I always like she's one of my favorite people. I love her energy. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to you, Robin.
Thank you, Marissa. It's always such a jam. I love it. I had so much fun today. And just also, just, teachers were better together than alone. It's a human job. Everyone's in it because we love humans. So, let's work together and support each other. And like Marissa said, if there's things you want to know more about, then, I think Marissa and I both always open to helping others. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me. And also, good luck to all the teachers. You're going to be amazing. Another year. Let's go.
I agree. We are sending you guys so much love. Thank you so much, and we will catch you in the next video. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.